All right. So we are right at 1 o'clock. So we're going to get started here today. I'd like to welcome everyone to American Dairy Association Northeast's virtual farm tour. My name's Emma Swarthout. I run the program and I work with our awesome our farmers to set up this program here for you. Today we're headed to Shodak Landing to Dutch Hollow Farms, and our tour is going to be led by Farmer Nate. So without further ado, I'll have Farmer Nate take it away.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Dutch Hollow Farm. This is my family's farm. We've been here since 1976. I'm pretty lucky that both my grandparents had farms of their own, and that was where each of my parents grew up. And when they got married and started having a family, they wanted to start a farm of their own, so they moved here. So now we've been here for 42 years, and I farm here alongside my parents and my two older brothers, as well as the next generation that's all growing up and coming home now. So I have my oldest niece, she farms nearby, and my next oldest niece is here on the farm as an employee working with us. We milk about 800 Jersey cows. Now, I'm sure when you guys think of dairy cows, a lot of times you think of the black and white cows. Those are called Holsteins. We've got a different type of cow. They're called Jerseys. They're a little bit smaller. They've got all different kinds of colors, but they're usually a different shade of brown. And they have lots of personality. They make less milk than the Holstein cows, but the milk that they make is higher in protein and fat, so they are really good at making all those other dairy products that we enjoy, like yogurt and cheese and ice cream and butter. We milk our cows 3 times a day. We get up early in the morning. At about 2:30 in the morning, we turn on the lights and start milking our cows, because it takes about 6 hours to get all 800 cows milked. And then we do it again at 10:30 in the middle of the day, and then once again at 6 o'clock at night, all the way past midnight. So there are people here at the farm working with our cows, caring for them, milking them, feeding them, making sure that everything's going okay, 24 hours a day. It's a very busy job here on the farm. Nobody works around the clock, but we all work as a team to make sure our animals are cared for. So this is our dry cow barn. This is the barn that we're in right now. Every single cow that you see behind me is pregnant and going to have a baby in 3 weeks or less. Every single one of them will have had a baby calf in the next 3 weeks. These girls up close that have been giving us some fun, including Mandy right here, who's been posing for the camera. She's due to have a baby calf any day now, as well as Ola, who's right there behind her. So this pack is what we call this area where all those cows are just kind of lounging, relaxing. They are super duper pregnant. And when you're very pregnant, your tummy's super full and you don't like to have to be uncomfortable. So we give them this great big space to be able to stretch out and get comfortable. They can eat whenever they want to, get water to drink whenever they want to. And they're in here where it's nice and cozy and warm right now. It got super cold in the last couple days, and it's going to get even colder tonight. But inside here in the barn, the cows are nice and comfortable. If we want to look down, we can see what our cows eat every single day. This is something we call a TMR. And you think of it like the best salad that you've ever had in your life. That's what I like to think of it of. Think of like the best pizza you've ever had, the best cheeseburger you've ever had, everything that you ever think is your favorite food mixed into one, and this is what the cows get to eat every single day. They love it. Now, it's a mixture of ingredients that we grow right here on the farm. It's got corn. If you've seen corn growing out in the fields, we plant that in the spring here in the Northeast, and it grows all spring and summer long, and in the fall, we harvest it, and we chop the entire plant up into smaller bits. See, there you can see a piece of the leaf. There's another piece. We chop the entire plant up into small bits and then add it to other ingredients like hay. You think about mowing your lawn outside? We mow the lawns on our fields. They're just a whole lot bigger. And we let the grass grow up tall, about 2 feet up, and we cut it 4 times a year. We chop it into small bits, and that becomes one of the ingredients too. If you guys have ever had cornmeal, whether it's in polenta or grits or even corn muffins or cornbread, that's another ingredient. That's just the corn kernels ground up until it's super fine, and that gives the cows extra energy so they can make milk. We also grow soybeans on this farm. Now, soybeans are a legume, which means they can grow and they take nitrogen out of the air to provide their own fertilizer, and they can help the soil. And those soybeans, in turn, give the cows protein to make their muscles grow and to also help for milk. We put all those ingredients together, and that's what they eat.
We had our polling question go up, and the question was, what breed of dairy cattle do they have at Dutch Fowl Farms? And almost all of you got it correct. It was Jersey. And the other ones we had up there, Holstein and Brown Swiss. Holstein and Brown Swiss are dairy cows, but they are not the ones that Nate has on his farm. And we did have one question come in, Nate. Why do they have numbers in their ears?
Well, every single cow on our farm has a name, and you heard me call out a couple of their names. Unfortunately, our cows can't tell us their names. When I ask them their name, they can't answer me because they're cows. But it's very important that I know who each and every one of these cows is, because I need to make sure that they're getting the right proper care. So what we do is each one has a tag in her ear with her own number. Nobody else on the farm has that special number. And that's how we can keep track of every single cow, to make sure that she's getting her medicine if she needs it, to make sure that she's making milk the right way, that she doesn't feel bad. That's how we keep track of all the information about our cows, so we know we can better take care of them. It's just easier than trying to remember every single body's name. So as we move down here, these girls, yep, they're all going to have baby calves too in the next couple of weeks, but they're not quite as ready as the ones that are on the pack. So they have a different style of where they sleep, and these are called free stalls. They're called free stalls because the cows are free to come and go with them as they please. So you can see some of the ladies are all laying down, other ones are up drinking water, other ones are just kind of hanging out, enjoying the day. Some are up here eating. These cows, 24 hours a day, do whatever they want. They're on vacation. They don't go back to work until after they have their baby, because their job is to make milk. Right now, they actually don't get milked. For 2 months, they get a nice little vacation.
We did have another question come in from Miss Gurovich's class. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. When do cows sleep?
When do cows sleep? Whenever they want to. Cows spend probably 14 hours a day laying down. And they don't really sleep quite like you and I do all at once. They like to take lots of naps whenever they feel like it. It's a really good life. And if we look at some of the cows laying around, you can see some are just laying down with their heads up. Other ones have their heads right down. They mostly just take lots and lots of naps. And then when they want a snack, they stand up, go get a snack. If they feel like laying back down, they go and lay back down. But about 14 hours a day, cows are laying down, and that's good. We like to have them laying down, because when they're laying down, that means they're comfortable.
Awesome. And then how much feed does a cow eat in one day in pounds?
How much feed does a cow eat in pounds? So our Jersey cows are smaller than a Holstein cow, and all cows eat different amounts according to how much milk they're producing. But the average cow is probably going to eat a garbage can full. And I don't mean like the tiny little wastebasket that might be in your classroom. I'm talking about the big round garbage can that you might collect leaves with or put all your garbage bags into. That's about 100 pounds of feed. So what you see in front of them, this is what the cows are going to eat in one day. By tomorrow morning, all of this feed will be gone, and there'll be just a little bit left over. We'll clean that up, and we'll weigh it to see how much they had left over, and then we'll figure out how much we need to feed them for today, so they have just what they need without wasting anything. So along with what they eat, they also need to drink a lot of water. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not sure I could eat too much of this food. It's pretty dry, and it takes up a lot of space, so I'd get thirsty. The cows get thirsty too. They can drink a bathtub full of water every single day, especially the ones that are producing milk.
Awesome. We got another question that came in from Miss Gurovich's class. Do cows play?
Do cows play? Well,
Yes.
if you're watching this camera right now, you can see quite a lot of them want to play with the phone. They want to play with the camera. A couple of them like to play with their tongues. When they're little calves, you can see them prancing around a little bit and jumping around and running. As they get older, just like people, they kind of start to lose some of that jumping around playfulness. But they're always kind of inquisitive, which means they're curious. Our cows especially, they like to interact with people. They like to interact with each other. So any sort of activity is kind of giving them a chance to play, let's say. What they really enjoy, though, is getting their head scratched when they want to get their noses or tummies or head scratched. They love to be pet, just kind of like a cat or a dog would.
Awesome. We just asked a question: how many pounds of feed does a cow eat? And most of you got that correct, based off of Farmers Nate's average, about 100 pounds of feed per day per cow. Just a few other questions. Why is a cow's tongue gray?
Why is their tongue gray? Well, if you look at, she's going to show off her tongue for us. The bottom of it's pink, and the top of it's kind of a grayish color. That's just the way the tongues of a Jersey cow look for the most part. I have a couple cows, and they're in other barns. Their tongues are more pink than gray. But most of the time, they just have that gray color because that's what they have. Other breeds of cows, their tongues might look a little bit different.
Awesome. So I'm going to let Farmer Nate wrap up any last comments here in the cow barn, because a lot of you are asking questions that are going to be answered throughout our tour. So any last comments here in the cow barn?
I guess, since we see our cows playing with their tongues, we can talk a little bit more about that. If you were to get licked by a cow, it's going to be really, really rough. If you've ever been licked by a dog or a cat, you can feel it's a little bit rough. Cows, their tongues almost feel like sandpaper. They can actually scratch your skin with their tongues. They're so rough. But that's because of the food that they're eating. They kind of have to have a pretty strong tongue. And that's why their tongue rolls around and can stick out as far as it can. They don't use their teeth to bite food. They actually use their tongues to grab it and pull it into their mouth. Kind of like if you think about the way an elephant uses its trunk, that's how cows use their tongues. So if I let her, she might actually just pull my hand right into her mouth and chew on it. She wouldn't try to bite me. She'd just be trying to grab onto it. So with that, I think we're done with the barn. So I believe we have a video on how we milk our cows.
Yes, we're going to play a quick video to show you the milking process here at Dutch Hollow. Unfortunately, the Wi-Fi connection is not strong enough in the parlor for us to go in there with a phone. So we're going to play that video for you. And in the meantime, Farmer Nate's going to walk out to the nursery where they keep all the calves.
So here we are in the milking parlor at Dutch Hollow Farm. You can see that the cows have all come in. This is what we call a pedometer. This tag is attached on every single cow's leg. It communicates with an antenna, so we can track all of the data that these cows have and make sure that we can, first of all, know how much milk they're making, but also know that our cows are doing well. We can determine how healthy they are and whether they're feeling good just through that pedometer. So when we're milking our cows, we always wear latex or nitrile gloves because there's lots of germs that can be in the cracks and crevices on our hands. And we don't want to spread anything from one cow to the other or from ourselves. So the first thing we need to do is make sure our cow is nice and relaxed and ready to give milk. So we're going to come in here and we're just going to massage her udder a little bit and clean off any of the sawdust that she got on herself while she was laying down in her stall. We're next going to come in with a special soap. Now, believe it or not, you don't use lots of water to get a cow's teats clean. Think of this like Purell, that hand sanitizer that we all use to disinfect our hands before we eat. Water doesn't kill germs, soap does. So we put on this special soap, and it's a foam, so we can see everywhere it is. And it's orange like that because it has iodine in it, which kills germs. So after that soap's been on there for 15 or 20 seconds, we know it's done its job. And now we're going to check to make sure that the milk is nice and clean and that the cow feels well. If our cows don't feel well and they're not making good milk, we don't want to put that milk into our tank. Once she's had about a total of 60 seconds from the time I first touched her, that machine is going to be ready to go on. We use microfiber towels to clean off our cows instead of paper towels. So here we go. We're going to hit the button. Now this is just a gentle vacuum. Less than probably your vacuum cleaner at home, so it doesn't hurt the cow at all. So after we put the milking machine on, we should see the milk coming out right away. And as we can look up on the keypad, we can already see that she gave half a pound of milk already. The milk's going to come out of our cow, through the milk hose, and down into a stainless steel line where it's going to go to our milk tank and be cooled down. This entire process is only going to take about 4.5 to 5 minutes for this cow to get milked. Now our cows here get milked 3 times a day. So by looking right up on here and pushing 2 buttons, I can tell you that the computer expects that she's going to make 16.2 pounds of milk this session, which is about 2 gallons. So she's probably making 6 gallons of milk a day. So for those of you that don't know, there's about 8.6 pounds of milk for every gallon. Our entire farm, if you averaged it out, every cow on this farm makes between 7 and 8 gallons of milk a day. Our computer knows when our cow is almost done milking. It doesn't try to suck every last drop of milk out of her. It doesn't want to over milk her. So once she makes less than 1/2 pound of milk in 30 seconds, the machine comes off all by itself. So the machine decided she was done. So now that she's done, the opening at the end of her teat is all nice and relaxed. And we don't want bacteria to get up in there and harm her. So until that muscle tightens back up, we're going to put on a special lotion that's going to protect her. Now once again, that has iodine in it, which will kill any germs, but it's nice and slippery but sticky like a lotion, so it keeps her skin soft so it doesn't get brittle and hard. Once the rest of her friends are done milking, they'll all leave together and go back to the barn. So after the milk comes out of the cows and goes through the pipeline, it comes into here, which is our milk house. And inside this giant steel tank is all the milk coming out of the cows. We want to get that milk as cold as possible, as fast as possible. So from here, the milk is going to get pumped through these pipelines and through what we call a chiller. So as the milk is coming out of the tank and brought over to, or pushed over to the tanks, it first has to go through a filter. This filter will not let anything solid through. And every last drop of milk has to pass through a filter just like this before it can get into our milk tank. So this tank right here is where we're currently milking into. It was empty when we started, and the temperatures at it inside that tank is down at 57 degrees. So that milk is being cooled as it goes in. If we look at the tank from this morning's milking, and we look at the temperature gauge on it, we can see that this milk is actually at a nice cool 37 degrees. We keep the milk cold here on the farm until it gets picked up by the milk truck to go to where it's going to be processed into the dairy products.
So great information from Farmer Nate, and we do have a couple questions about the milking process for you, Nate. From Mary Matthews, from Mary Matthews' class, how old does a cow have to be to produce milk?
Okay, well, so we're going to pretend that we're going to be back in my other barn where those cows are having their babies. A cow can have her baby, and that baby takes about 12 months to get large enough to get pregnant. She grows very fast, and by the time she's 12 months old, she's going to get pregnant. Sometimes a little longer, sometimes a little sooner. After they get pregnant, they'll be pregnant for 9 months until they have a baby. So if we do our math, 12 plus 9 would be about 21 months. So at 21 months old, a cow can have a baby and start making milk. But they have to have a baby in order to make milk. They don't just get bigger. They have to get pregnant and have a baby first.
Awesome.
And then after that, they'll have a baby about once a year. Every once a year, they'll have 10 months where they make milk, 2 months where they're on vacation. They'll have a baby and they go back to work.
Great. And then another question, what companies do you send your milk to, and what products are made from the milk?
What companies do I send my milk to? Well, if you saw my shirt, you can see that buffalo plaid, that red and black checkered plaid. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm a member of Agrimark, which is a co-op, which means it's a bunch of farms working together, and they send their milk all together to different places to be made into products. And that company, that co-op, owns a brand called Cabot, which makes some of the world's best cheddar. We don't just say that. We actually win awards internationally about how great our cheddar cheese is. And we don't just make cheese, but we also make butter, we make whipped cream, we make cottage cheese, we make sour cream. All the delicious dairy products that you guys use probably could be coming from our cows if you're using Cabot.
Awesome.
Now,
and
our
then,
farm...
Oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
Nate. I was just going to ask another question, so I don't want to interrupt you.
Yes, so that's the co-op that we're part of. But here on our farm, because we have these Jersey cows making their super milk that has all the protein and fat in it, we have smaller cheese companies that want to work with just our farm so they can make really, really delicious cheese. The really special cheese that people like put out on tables for cheese plates and things like that at fancy parties.
Awesome. And then one last question, because we are getting a lot of calf questions, but from Mrs. Barheight's class, what would happen if a cow is not milked? Would she get sick?
Oh, yes. So a cow, after she has her baby, her body starts making milk that goes into that udder. And whether she wants to or not, that milk is always being made. She has to get it out of her body. Otherwise, she'd start to get very uncomfortable. And after a very short time of not being milked, she could get very sick. She could get an infection and get very sick. So not only is it great for us to milk our cows to get the dairy products, to get the milk we want for dairy products, but it's for the cow too. She needs to be milked to keep herself comfortable. And that's why we milk her 3 times a day.
Awesome. And with that, I'm going to let you take it away because we're getting a lot of questions about calves too.
Yeah, we keep showing you all these baby calves. Let's talk about them. So this is our nursery barn. So if you can think about when a mommy and daddy have their baby in the hospital, that's where our dry cow barn is. And then after a couple days, when the baby's made sure that the baby's all good and healthy, the doctors let the mommy and daddy take the baby home. Well, this is my nursery. So each one of these pens has one baby in it because that's kind of like a crib. It's a nice little safe spot that I can keep warm and dry and clean for my newborn babies. If you look in the fronts of their pens, you can actually see there's something red sticking out of the door. Those are actually the bottles because my babies just finished lunch. So I feed them bottles 3 times a day, kind of like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can see it on this side. You can see the bottle holder. We just put the bottle right in and the baby can drink. If she's not big enough to drink on her own, I'll go in and feed her by hand. So this baby right here, she's only about 2 weeks old, but you can see how big she is. When they're born, they can weigh anywhere from 50 to 60 pounds. And those are Jersey calves, which are small. Holstein calves will get even bigger. They'll be 85, 90, 100 pounds when they're born. They're huge. They're as big as a 4th grader when they're brand new. In addition to being born so big, they grow very quickly. They can gain 2 pounds a day. That's a lot of weight, isn't it? So they grow so quickly because of the way we're feeding them. We feed them that milk, that super yummy milk, 3 times a day, but we also give them cereal. Just like you guys probably had cereal for breakfast, you probably splashed some milk on it, right? Well, they like their cereal dry, and you can see it. Think of this like Cheerios or Wheaties or Corn Flakes or Lucky Charms, just minus the marshmallows. And they get to eat that cereal as a snack all day long. Those baby calves, just like baby people, they can't eat grown-up food that grown-up like grown-ups can, like cows can. So you look at this. This is really dry hay. When they're a couple months old, they're going to think this is delicious, but they can't eat it right now. Their stomach doesn't know how to break it down and use it for nutrients, just like you wouldn't be able to feed a newborn baby broccoli. Our calves actually are born with all their teeth already in their mouths. They don't have to wait for their teeth to come in, though. So here's the bottle up close if you want to see it. This is half a gallon. So you guys know that big jug of milk that you probably have in your refrigerator at home? That's 1 gallon. So my baby calves drink 3 of these bottles a day. So they're drinking 1.5 gallons of milk. No wonder they grow so quick, huh? That's how you grow a good, healthy skeleton, good, healthy muscles and bones and teeth. So as we're talking about, it's starting to get really cold out. It's November, right? And in New York, it gets cold in November. It's wintertime. We can't let our baby calves get cold, though. So in addition to having those nice, cozy pens, our smaller calves have these super nice jackets on. And that makes sure if it's a little bit breezy outside or if they don't get a chill, just like having a blanket on a baby. It just gives them just a little bit of extra protection. But since they're born with all that hair and thick skin, they can take cold weather a lot better than you or I can. About the time that you're thinking about putting on a sweatshirt, my calves are super happy. That's like the perfect weather in the world for a cow. And as it gets colder, when you and I want to put on hats and gloves and mittens and winter coats, that's when we start to put on these special jackets. And actually now, as it's getting cold and it's starting to snow outside, we're probably going to start using a different kind of bedding in their pens. If you look inside their pen now, we just use sawdust, which is literally the dust left over from cutting up wood to make lumber, which we do a lot of here in the Northeast because we have lots of trees. Well, we can take the dust from cutting up that wood, and we buy it from the companies that make it, and we can use it as bedding underneath our calves. It keeps them dry and clean, but it doesn't give them a whole lot of insulation when it gets colder. So we're going to start bedding with straw, which looks just like hay, and it can make like a fluffy nest that they can nestle down in when it gets cold at night. If you look around our barn, all the walls are closed up for the most part. There's curtains that go open and close. So our barn in the wintertime looks very different than the summertime. You can see all the curtains are closed up right now because we don't want that breeze to give our calves a chill. We'll open all those curtains up though in the summertime, or just even on a nice day in the wintertime when you get a nice sunny day, I'll open those curtains up just to let some fresh air in.
Awesome.
So our baby calves get fed.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, Nate. But maybe you're going to answer this. We're getting quite a few questions about how long do they drink milk from the cow? Are they separated from the cow? So maybe you can explain that process a little bit.
Sure. So when our baby calf is born, after that baby is born, the mom will turn around and she'll get up and she'll start licking that calf off. I'm never going to lick a baby calf, but I can't. So that's a good job for mom to do. But after that, there's not a whole lot that mommy can do to help make that baby calf super healthy. I can do a better job than mommy. And that baby calf won't be standing up for a couple hours, maybe even a couple days, but she needs to eat, and she needs to eat really quickly. This is called colostrum, and it's like this super milk. It's got all these things called antibodies, which help your body fight off disease. When a baby calf is born, she can get sick very easily until she gets that colostrum. So what I do on my farm is I collect the milk from the mom as soon as I can, put it into a bottle, and I can feed that baby calf before she's even strong enough to stand up. And I know that that's going to be the best thing I can do to get her healthy. Mom, despite licking her off and loving her calf, she really can't do a whole lot more to make sure that calf gets healthy unless that calf gets up on her own. In fact, mom might accidentally step on her baby or lay on it. It's really important that we make sure mom is taken care of. If you were in a hospital and you saw mommy be born, have a baby, the doctors are right there to make sure that baby's doing everything A-okay. And they also make sure that the mom is okay too. Mom is exhausted. She just did a lot of work having that baby. It's the same thing with our cows. So we put our cows into a special recovery area where they can eat and drink and just rest because they are tired out from having that baby. And my job is to take care of the babies. And it might not sound like the best thing that we take the babies away from the moms like that, but it really is, because where the cows live, they can't keep their babies clean like I can in here.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. We are creeping up right on that 1:30 time frame. Last question from me, Nate. What is your favorite part about being a dairy farmer?
My favorite part about being a dairy farmer, I will be honest with you, I have two favorite parts. My first favorite part is that I get to work every day alongside my family. And my next favorite part is I get to share what I do with all of you that tuned in today. I love sharing my farm with people that want to know questions, that want to know more about how we take care of our cows. This is my favorite part.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nate. Thanks everyone for joining us. As I said before, you will receive a recording of today's tour, so feel free to rewatch it again or share it with other students that you think might enjoy it. Also, most importantly, Nate's farm is on Facebook and Instagram. So when you go home, if it's okay with your parents, ask your parents to follow along, and you can ask even more questions through your parents if you have any more from Farmer Nate, right on his Facebook or Instagram at Dutch Hollow Farm. We really appreciate everyone joining us today. And any last words, Farmer Nate?
No, I just wanted to thank all of you for tuning in today.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.